Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here, and welcome to another episode of Wizard Watch. Apologies for the horrific voice, absolutely riddled with COVID, and so hence the husky voice. But I'll try and get through this the best I can. So let's get to tonight's Smackdown. So if there was one moment that was worth watching Smackdown for, it was watching Rey Mysterio smack Dominik Mysterio right in the kisser. And how satisfying was that to watch? You could see the frustration, the anger, I guess, in a way, building up on Rey Mysterio's face. Even under the mask, you could see it. And this is all after Dom was just being a punk-ass kid again, disrespecting his mum and his sister, calling his mum a deadbeat mum. And that was the final trigger for Rey. He's seen enough. The match is on. Rey Mysterio versus Dominik Mysterio at WrestleMania. And this is going to be an absolute banger. I can't wait. Absolute perfect execution of storytelling. Now, we got some pretty big news because next week on Friday Night Smackdown, we're going to get an Andre the Giant Battle Royal match. But more importantly, Bobby Lashley and LA Knight are within that match. And bear in mind, recently, pretty much Alexa Bliss is confirmed she's going to be at the venue. And as of late, there's been these recent sightings of Bray Wyatt. This was taken with a fan, this very picture. And he looks pretty well, doesn't he? Which is obviously good news if you're a Bray Wyatt fan. Which makes me think, is this all part of the plan? Was this all a setup? Remember, Bray Wyatt lies. Everybody lies. The world is built on lies. Is this all part of the storyline and a way of just building up suspense and anticipation leading up to WrestleMania? We'll have to wait and see. But the fact that Bobby Lashley is going to be on Smackdown next week in LA Knight, maybe they're stirring up something for WrestleMania, potentially involving Bray. Next up, we saw Shotzi and Natalya qualify for WrestleMania Showcase. Love a bit of Shotzi, you know that on this channel. Love seeing the TCB. And they took care of business, of course, beating Xia Li and Lacey Evans to progress. I did think it's a little bit odd, and I do think it's a little bit odd, that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler don't need to qualify like everyone else. But I feel in a weird way, the fact that they haven't probably just means they're going to go and win and sort of state their authority in the women's division. And then hopefully down the line, they'll split up and then we'll get Shayna versus Ronda, which is the matchup that, let's face it, we all want to see down the line. Now, it's safe to say we got some shenanigans in the IC title contract signing. Gunther was absolutely flipping livid, and poor old Adam Pearce, he wanted answers from him. And he said, look, why am I in a match where I don't have to get pinned or submitted to lose my match? And I also loved at the same time this personal rivalry, it seems now, between Drew and Sheamus. Drew saying that Sheamus used to be able to separate the personal from the business side, but now he can't, and that he's got a bit soft. And this is just going to be one hell of a match. Of course, this set up Butch versus Gunther, and they had a pretty decent match. It's a pretty fire match. I definitely feel this is WWE and Triple H's way of certainly saying, look, Butch is going to be a main fixture on the roster, and just showcasing him against someone of the caliber of Gunther just shows that they've got big plans for Butch. Will they change him back to Pete Dunne? We'll have to wait and see. Now, what was probably one of my favourite segments, just because of like the name, the tagline on the t-shirts, was the KO show. When KO broke out the t-shirts, and unsurprisingly, of course, had one with KO Mania, but on the very front had one with WrestleZania. Like, that is absolute money, isn't it? Literally, I'm sure they're just going to sell those like hotcakes. And this, of course, hypes up WrestleMania. The Usos coming in, though, attacking Kevin, Sammy, which makes a lot of sense because it's almost that reverse booking scenario where, you know, they get the attack leading into the event, stating their dominance, but actually the reverse happens and Kevin and Sammy will get the victory. And that is just going to be such a feel-good and heartwarming moment at Mania, with the crowd standing on their feet. In other news, we got a short, sharp and sweet promo from Charlotte Flair, of course, hyping her match against Rhea Ripley, which brings up the question, are we getting a double turn at WrestleMania? Because going into this, obviously Charlotte Flair has been a face, and going into this, Rhea Ripley's been a heel, but you got to remember how over Rhea Ripley is, and you got to think between the two of them in the ring at Mania, Rhea's going to be the one that's going to be over and getting babyface reactions, much like earlier in the night when Rey Mysterio took on LA Knight. And let's not forget, LA Knight beat Rey Mysterio, which is massive for LA Knight. Great to see him get a victory, but getting major babyface reactions. And so you got to think the same is going to happen with Rhea. And of course, earlier in the night, we saw Rhodes take on Kaiser in what was a pretty juicy match. But more importantly, the news coming out at the end of it is the fact that we're going to get Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa this Monday night on Raw, which is going to be an absolute banger of a matchup. And I'll be interested to see how they book that. Is Solo Sikoa going to take his first loss on the main roster? Or is Cody Rhodes going to lose to Solo Sikoa? I highly doubt it before Mania and his match against Roman, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. Overall, pretty decent show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, everything is set in place now for WrestleMania except the Bray stuff, but we'll have to see what happens there. But it's certainly looking more positive. As always, be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you in the next one.